Right, here we are. We're at Lakeside Imports, so we'll have a look round and see what we can do. Right, we're here at Lakeside Imports. We got our Land Rover Defender, and we love our Defender, no question. But we have had a couple of niggling issues. People say, if only Toyota made a Defender, and that got us thinking. Did Toyota actually jump the gun? So this is a Toyota FJ Cruiser. Right, now let's give a little bit of history. So Toyota started making Jeeps under license from Willys Jeeps back in the day in 1950 something, back when the Series 1 Defender was around. And they had the original one, which was called a J40. And over the years, Toyota went up market with their Toyota, and it went on to become the Land Cruiser. But then they decided, and this is about 2005, that they'd lost track of the younger audience. They'd all gone old men like me with families and big four-wheel drives, and they wanted to attract a new younger audience. So they designed the FJ Cruiser. So this is a retro car that they thought would be sort of stylish and attract the younger audience that they sort of lost connection with. And it's very capable off-road. We'll have a look underneath. Now, obviously we're in the UK. Toyota did not sell this model in the UK. Why? Don't know. Ask Toyota. If you're from Toyota, put it in the comments below. But now they're over 10 years old. They're now coming into the UK. So you can now buy these all, and they're right-hand drive. They're from Japan. They did sell them well in America, but we get a lot of the Japanese ones in the UK. They're really capable off-road. They took them on all the trials in trails in the US. But right, let's have a look. Let's have a look at them. So we're going to walk around. We're going to show you some features. The first thing I want to do is compare them. So let's have a look. Round headlights, a very retro style. Round in here somewhere, round headlights. You've got this sort of prominent grille, the sort of very Toyota. You've got the grille with the Land Rover Defender, very Defendery. You've got this sort of big stylish silvery bits. Okay, this one's got holes in, but you've got that same sort of DNA. You've got a similar sort of look. Now look at these mirrors. Now bear in mind, this car was launched in 2006. This car was launched in 2020. Look, very sort of four-wheel drive, square, boxy mirrors. Look at the wheel arches. You see, you've got these very sticky out wheel arches, very prominent from the main wing. Here you've got sticky out wheel arches. And what one accessory will fit to the Defender is you can actually get the bigger rubber wheel arch covers. Right, let's go around. Let's have a look around the outside, shall we, John? The windscreen, as we move to the side, you can see that the Toyota windscreen is much less aerodynamic. It's much more square, blunt. But check this out. How cool is this? When two wipers. My first car had one wiper. There's 1, 2, 3. Almost greedy, I reckon, but there we go. We digress. Right, let's walk along the side. So now the first thing you'll notice is quite different about the Toyota is it's a 4-door, but it doesn't look like a 4-door. So you've got this funky little sort of suicide door opening thing, and we'll have a look at that. We'll have a look at the interior in a minute. Right, let's move along. Right, moving round to the rear. This has got a very stylish, big, bold light. I think these are a little less bold, shall we say. But if you look, you've got this sort of, this corner bit, you've got this corner bit, you've got this jutty out middle platform area. You've got this jutty out middle platform area. Now, one thing I'm not a big fan of on the Defender is that when it breaks down, these are your indicators. And when you open the door on the other side, it obscures the indicator. Let's do it in case no one believes me. If I could open my own door, it would help. Right, but on this one, Toyota's clever. They've put the indicators down below so that at least when you're behind and you're working on your car and your back door's open, you can see the hazard warning lights. Right, a couple of other things that are really cool. Check out this back door. Right, now we had this problem the other day when we were green laning. We had to get the sheary things out, and we were on a bit of a slope, and I was trying to open the door and it kept closing on me. Toyota, 2006, look at this. Bam, locked. Look, that door was going nowhere. Push. Look at that, how simple is that? That door will close. So if you're parked on a slope or wind, you've got the ability to do that. I've got no such ability. What a cool idea that would be. There you go, take note, Land Rover. Right, okay, what else are we looking at? Right, now this is the coolest feature. Let's shut both doors. Now, if you're in a tight parking space and you want to open this great big door, you've got to like get some space to get in there. Now look, this reminds me of the Disco 3 in the Range Rover Sport. Right, what we can do on this one, if I turn the key the right way, there you go, and hold it, turn the key and hold it. Look, so if you just want to throw something in quickly, so say you are green laning and you want to just get the shears out the back, you haven't got to open the door on a slope, just pop open the glass top. Way cool idea that. Right, let's have a look inside the rear. So obviously we've got a similar tread plate, and in fact this one here is a little more useful as a step. It's a little more durable than the Land Rover one. We'll have a look at that. You've got your tie down point. Now one thing you don't have in the Toyota is you don't have a space under the boot floor. That is it as far as I can work out, and we'll look underneath in a minute. So we don't have any underfloor storage space, but you've got the same sort of wash down interior, and the same, I'll fold the seats down and you can have a look, we'll have the same similar sort of back of the seats with the tie down points. And the other spooky similarity is when I picked up our Defender, there was like some parcel shelf. It was like a hammock, and I thought might be useful for a cat or something. But look, they've got the same concept here with these sort of upper mounts here that you can, I guess, hook something over. If you go and have a little nose in the Defender, look, so we've got the same sort of roughy, tufty, mop down floor. We've got the same sort of 4 hoops here. And the other thing that's quite weird is you've got this small back window. You notice we've got this with this big thing where we've got Jerry's graphics on the other side here. And look, is it coincidence? I don't know. It's weird. But look, we've got a big square. You've got a tiny small back window. Because bear in mind, hello Jerry, you've got this little, hope you don't mind, bear with us, right? We've got this little bit here, and we've got this little bit here. It's spooky. Jerry, have you been getting inspiration from Toyota? Fess up. No, he's not talking to me. Right, anyway, there we go. So, contrasting roof colour. I mean, this is another thing. You've got the contrasting roof. We went for the contrasting roof. It's sort of, they're oddly back to front, aren't they, George? We've sort of got like a sort of negative reverse image. Anyway, well, let's have a look how long they are, George. Get alongside. I'm probably better off going that side, I reckon. Right, we'll just have another look. So obviously we've parked them, so the fronts are exactly the same. And what I'll do is we'll scroll along, then I'll put a little shot with some dimensions up on the screen. So there we go, we've got the different windscreen. The roof, if you just go up a little bit, the heights are not far off, are they, George? The Toyota is about 100 millimeters, 10 centimeters narrower. And it's a little bit shorter. As we move to the back, you'll see that the Toyota is shorter, because they're aligned at the front, and you can see, but there's not a lot in it. They both got spare wheels, they're both mounted at the same position. The Defender's got that very classic square back corner look to it. Right, Toyota handle, look, makes my hand feel tiny. It's got this, I could get 2 hands on that. But one of the things that they did, the designer, now interestingly, the designer, or the guy that designed it, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but he was a 24-year-old. He was a young guy, because Toyota wanted to attract a younger audience. But one of the things they wanted to do was, if you had gloves on, because you're in Siberia or somewhere cool and wet and rainy and cold, and you have big man gloves on, you could, maybe had your chainsaw gloves on, or you could open the door and and all the controls are very, very sort of, they're all big and bold. We'll have a look, we'll have a little sit in. Well, there we go, so we've already seen the doors. If you have a look here, we'll have a look in the Defender again in a minute. Look, you've got your wipe down. People keep going, it's a hose down interior, and people go on the internet, stop saying it's a hose down interior. It's not, it's a wipe down interior, okay? But this is the same, even to the extent where it goes up the middle, and you've got this sort of big middle console, the center console, very similar. The seats are, well, they're seats, but they're similar. And this is all quite hard wearing. I like the big speaker grille. Sometimes they can feel a bit fragile in the Range Rover model. So you've got this massive, and look at the size of that. Just get your hand completely round. Everything's big and bold and rah, which I think is quite cool. And that extends actually to the controls as well. So yes, talking about everything big and bold. Look, we've got the big controls up there. And this is classic Defender with the air vents at the top, the 2 side pillars, the 3 knobs, the stereo in the middle. Anyone with a Defender, and there's plenty of you guys out there, this is very classic. Also with the air vent on the outside. And in our Defender we've got that grab rail, and we've almost got the same thing going along here, that sort of grab rail that just goes all the way through, gives it a sense of sort of strength. And these are quite funky. I guess they're useful if you're off-road. It stops the glare coming at you from the side, because this one comes out and it can sort of form a sideways sort of curtain. Well, that's pretty cool. Right then, now I think we'll have to look. We found the rear camera. We didn't show them the rear camera. We'll find the rear camera, George, and show them. But I guess that must be linked. Some of them will link to the rear view mirror, and some of them will be linked to the screen. Right, we've got the classic old school, no electronics here. You've got a proper lever you have to move to get it into low ratio. So you've got high ratio 2 and 4 wheel drive, and you've got low ratio 4 wheel drive and neutral. You've got your, now apparently they had an early prototype and they designed the gear stick so it was also a shovel handle, and you could like take it out. And they also designed apparently the interior lights as torches that you could sort of just unclip, and but apparently that never made it from the prototype model into production. But that's pretty cool, don't you reckon, George?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, so obviously this one is an automatic. We've already seen the automatic gear shift. They were also available in manual, but I suspect the ones from Japan will be more popular. And they pretty much all came with a 4-litre V6 petrol double overhead cam, and it also had the VVTi, where you've got that variable valve timing. I think it was only on one of the camshaft, like the inlet, it had the variable timing. Right, so this, in this format, the 4-litre has got 239 brake horsepower, so that tops by about 3 brake horsepower the 236 of my Defender. So the Defender's doing pretty well there. It's got an engine half the size, it's 2-litre petrol, and it's putting out the same horsepower. But the advantage of this one is you've got masses of torque. So if you're doing some serious off-road, you can just pootle along at low revs and jub, 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 jub. Now I've not actually started this up. It was running when they gave it to us. But let's have a look how massive this sounds. We're in park. So you know you've got a big engine there. It's not racy. It's not about racing around and ragging up and down the high street. This is about sitting on highways. This is about going on trails, going off-road. So the engine's well suited to it. We've got the cruise control here. We've got lights. We've got wipers. Let's tell you what, those 3 wipers. Like, this is going to freak me out. That's weird. There you go, 3 wipers. This is also weird, isn't it, George? We found it. Let's have the engine off for a minute. Look, check this out. Oh, it's going to beep at me. Right then. Look, we've got an extra glove box here. Obviously, the driver's got an airbag here. And we had a little rummage in here earlier. Like, does anyone tell me what this is? Look, what's that? Some dodgy pill. Look, some Japanese dodgy pills. What else was in here, George? Some weird stuff, wasn't there? I don't think they realised it was here when they cleaned it out. Oh, they got a plastic screwdriver, look. What's that even, George? That looks like some sort of weird thing. Right, anyway, we digress. Right, Japanese, right. And it, right, so the 4-wheel drive system on this is what they call the A-track. Again, I'm not an expert on this, I've just read it. So, but apparently what it does, and it's quite common, is that if one wheel loses traction, then with a differential, all that wheel just spins and spins. What it does is it applies the brake to that one, and so it acts like a brake driven differential. So the differential goes, well, I can't drive that one, so all the power goes to the other wheel, which is really cool. And they also did have a locking central differential on some models. I can't see where that is on this one. Obviously here we've got the traction control, so you can turn the traction control, and some models even had a switch where you could turn the curtain airbags off, because apparently this will tilt over to such an angle that it thinks it's rolled over and the airbags will go off. So there's actually a sort of super off-road airbag turning off mode, which is quite interesting, but I can't see that on this model, sorry. Right, let's have a look in those back seats. Now, shall I have a sit in the back, George, and we'll have a look how much room there is for a 6-foot man like me? This is one cool feature I just noticed about these doors. In the Defender, the kids get out and run off, and I'm like, shut the door, kids! Look at this, rear door from the driver's seat. How cool's that? I'm just climbing into the back, and this caught my eye. I thought, oh, what's that? And look, what is this? What is all this get up? It looks like it's some sort of trick flare. What have we got to do, George? We've got to pull it. Or is it just a candle? Maybe it's just for that romantic. If you want to like big up the romance, just light a candle. I wouldn't suggest trying it. But yeah, like if you buy this off Lakeside Imports, you get a free one of those. YouTube doing whatever with that. We've got no idea what that is. Right. Anyway, before we blow it up, let's get in the back. Right. So, how easy is it for me to get in the back, George?
Shouldn't be too hard.
Shouldn't be too hard. I mean, now let's get. You got often one problem in cars in the back is the roof starts to slope away, but on this one we've got plenty of headroom here. The other thing is, I was a bit worried that it wouldn't have Isofix seat belts, but I had a little rummage under here, and if you can see there, if I put we've got what appear to be the Isofix seat mounting brackets, so that's really cool. We like Isofix, don't we? Right, so obviously all the seats fold down. There's a little button you've got to press here. There you go. It's just like the Defender. Look, it's exactly the same as the Defender. Even this area here looks the same. It looks like you can sort of they've got these sort of big things. It looks like you can unbolt everything, which is quite cool. Well, there we go. We'll put the back down. So it's not quite as flat as the Defender floor. It's got that little slope there. But there's a slight advantage, isn't there, George?
Yeah.
We keep losing things on the Defender floor. Every time we lift it up, it disappears. When you're in the back, you obviously have to push the door open. That's all pretty cool. It's quite easy to get in and out. I imagine if you had kids in baby seats, I think it would actually be easier to put a kid in from that
definitely
angle than from the other angle.
With the door being like that, it gives you easy access to actually lean in. Yeah.
Family-friendly car. One thing I nearly forgot was this cool grab handle. Look, you've got plenty of grab hand. Although the Defender's got those nice ones on the side, but you lose those with this car because obviously you've got a side door. But they have given you a sort of roller coaster style hold on to their seat in front. So that's pretty cool. Right, let's put all the seats down and see what the back space compare the two. Now I know most seats are the same, but look, it's even down the same. Look, it's got the Isofix points, it's got the toggle there. Pull that up. Doesn't that look spookily the same as that other car? Built in 2006. Put the headrest down. So there we go. And look, we've got the tie down points exactly the same. I mean, I guess to a degree it's standard, but it's kind of spooky. One thing people ask me is, where's a good place to have a sleep? No, not really. People said in the Disco 3 and 4 you can sleep in the back. So they said, can you lie out flat in the back? So my feet are pretty much on the edge there, George. Shut that back door and then come around the side and let's... So my feet, I've pushed this seat forward. My seat, so the problem I got is I can sort of fit in. I guess you'd have to have some sort of funny pillow thing. I guess if you could design it right, you could probably sleep in here. Let's go see if we can sleep in the FJ. No, we're a little bit tighter in here. We've got the same issue. We've pushed the seat back, but I'm way over the end there. And also it's not as flat. It is quite a slope. Even with the seats folded up, it's quite a slope backwards on that. So it's great. It's not as good as the Defender. The Defender does win on boot space and boot flatness, but it's still a useful space and it's rugged. But one thing we noticed is the rear camera. So the rear camera on the Toyota is down here. Sorry about the wind noise. Which is quite cool because you can actually hopefully see the actual back of the camera. Whereas on the Defender, the camera is actually under the bottom here, looking down, and you can't quite see the back of the wheel. Now, obviously the Defender's got the 360 camera system, which is really cool. I mean, it's one of the coolest things we like about the new Defender, that 360 camera system, and we'll show some more videos on that later. But this is a lot older, this is 14 years older, so obviously it's gonna but also that's part of its beauty. It's before the age of too much complicated electronics and blank screens. Well, that's what we had on the way here, wasn't it, George?
Yeah.
We had the blank screen. So, all right, so there we go. That's the bad screen. That's the reversing screen. It's not as good, but you can still see what's going on, and it'll be handy enough for reversing up. And I think this, you can see the back of the tyre there. It's a bit of a weird sort of fisheye lens, but it's perfectly adequate for what we need. Right, off-road capability. One thing you'll notice, now this is obviously on coil suspension. I'm going to get dirty and have a look down there underneath so you can see the suspension setup. But you'd already see we've got a pretty massive suspension travel compared to the Defender. Now obviously the Defender's got air suspension, so it can increase that. But this just stock height is quite a lot. So let's dive underneath and have a look. See if we can see some of this chassis types. So here we go. So you can see we've got like a conventional chassis rail here, and we've got quite a lot of room wasted under this boot floor area. They could have put room there for a well to get some extra stuff in, but they've just gone for the straight sort of floor. In terms of suspension, you've got this sort of lateral linkage panhard rod type thing. You've got coil. There you go. You've got a classic rear differential there, and you got the petrol tank. You got these trailing arms here, you can see those, and you got rear disc brakes. We haven't got any rear drums, we've got rear disc brakes, which is cool. Right, and let's have a look at the front. Okay, so at the front we've got double wishbone, and there you go, you can see we've got the coil front suspension. It's hard for me to get, let me have a look under here. There you go, we've got a slightly better view of it there. So in terms of off-road capability, we've got a pretty cool setup. And there's lots of lift kits available for these FJ Cruisers out and about. We've got disc brakes on the front, 4-pot calipers, and it's got quite a lot of Under Armour on the front there. We've got a tow hook there. So there we go, that's the front suspension. Not an in-depth tour. Can't quote you the figures on the axle articulation, but you can see where they've cut it almost looks like they've cut the wheel arches away, like on the old Land Rover Defender lightweights, to give you more axle movement. So I'm pretty sure they're pretty capable off-road. Right, let's pop the bonnet. Have you worked out how to pop the bonnet? Or hood for our American friends? Now, yeah, I mean, you guys watching America, this is quite novel for us Brits to see one of these, because they were never sold. So right, let's have a look. See like this little cool, it looks like it's blocked off though. George was saying, is that, I don't think that's like an intercooler scoop, that's all blocked there, so that's just for show, that is. So there we go, there's your 6-cylinder Toyota engine, petrol, all in there, conventional dipstick. It all looks pretty mint though. I don't think this one's been used off-road. I mean, these Japanese cars, look at that. Because they don't use salt on the road in Japan. So when you're buying a Japanese import, you're pretty much guaranteed minimal rust. I mean, just looking underneath there. For a car this, I've got to do the... Actually, I'm not sure exactly what we should do, because he's put a 62 plate on it. So that's this actual car, although design was 2006, this car's 2012. So this is a 8-year-old car. Look at it, it's like new.
It really is. I mean, just looking at the engine there, that is impeccable.
It is. There you go. Conventional dipsticks, no electronic dipstick trickery here. So there we go. I mean, even look at the brake cylinder. Look, there's no corrosion.
Wow.
So there we go. So I think that concludes our tour. I'll put a link to Lakeside Imports, who've been really, they just said, look, just park up, do what you like, do a comparison. I'll take a few pictures now. I'll put the two cars front to front. I'll play some groovy music and you can have a look. I'll put some stats up, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. Put your comments below. You're not sure, but I think we got like 400 comments on that video we put up the other day. So let us know what you think.